Hello, and welcome to the next ReeVlog. I just got back from the park, did some skipping, found a fun way to carry my skipping rope that I think I have used before, but I kind of forgot about for a while. You have it doubled up, loop it round behind the neck, round under the arm, and then the handles go through the loop. And my particular skipping rope, at least, enables me to carry it like that pretty securely without having to worry, so I can just walk around and have it there because all my pockets were full. Got my hat, got my gloves, got my phone, and got my keys. So, pretty busy. Oh, excuse the grunting. The reason I've come back to my car is I've noted, well, there's two reasons. One, some rando pulled up to the park on a moped and started walking in my general direction, so I thought probably best skedaddle just in case. Thankfully, I think they were just going to sit on a bench, which can't blame them for. I do that myself quite regularly. And the second thing is, and I'm hoping this isn't going to show on camera, I have to tape a toe. I can feel that it is sort of rounding, getting into weird positions whilst I've been walking. Didn't really notice it as much when I was skipping, but I was practicing some kicks for my thighs because I was doing that in the flat whilst I was waiting for, I think, the kettle to boil or the water to heat up to fill up my water bottle, something like that. I was doing some kicks, effectively like teeps from Muay Thai. Is my torch getting dimmer? Because this is torch lit. There we go. It might have just been changing position. I've got it in a bag so that it spreads the light out in less of a beam. So sorry for shadows and such, but that is what we have available, because otherwise I would turn the engine on and use this little dinky light here, which is going to use fuel. Though I have just remembered I have a lamp. Perhaps that would be better. Lampo! Shazam! Boom. Is that better? I feel like that's going to be better. There we go. Yeah, a bit more of a well-rounded light and less blue, so that's good. Oh, I should put my blue light glasses on. Never mind. I'm not going to bed for a while yet anyway, though by the time this is uploaded, I might be in bed. Who knows? Because once I finish taking my toe, putting my sock back on, putting my shoe back on, finishing this vlog, I will be going back out doing more walking. But enough of that. So kicks, kettle, yes. I was in the kitchen and I was like, there's not a lot of space, but I can probably do a kick above the kitchen countertop, and that would be useful for my mobility. And I did it, and when I was extending my leg, I got to that full extension, I noticed that my quad was like real struggling at the end of that extension of the kick. So I thought, let me try the other leg, same thing. So I think that perhaps that positioning of the quad would be a weak point for me right now, and I might benefit from doing more slow controlled higher kicks with my torso in sort of that upright position, because no doubt when I'm doing them quickly I'm compensating by adjusting my torso, which is fine, I guess, but I would much rather not need to compensate and have that greater range of mobility in my day-to-day life. Not going to be super useful, I don't think, but it's more useful to have it than to not have it. For me, there are very specific certain circumstances where that's probably not going to be the case. Like certain people might have requirements where additional stiffness in that region might be beneficial for whatever their goals are, but not me. There we go, taped my toe. Hopefully the tape isn't too tight because it does go all of the way around my foot, and I'm hoping it's not going to cause any issues with anything else, but it's only for a little while, and if need be I can always sit down on the floor and take it off. But the tape lives in the car, so I'm not going to be able to retape it if I do take it off. but I'm just going to leave it for now, make sure it's not going to do any circulatory issues or anything like that whilst I'm vlogging. So, yes, park. I did a little bit of skipping, did most of the monkey bars. I didn't succeed this time because I think I was swinging too much. I didn't focus enough on the core stabilization because I was too concerned about my shoulder potentially playing up more, because it is a little bit. I did some rope flowy stuff with my skipping rope, not the actual rope one, the cabley, wiry one, which is a bit heavier, and it was faster because there's less air resistance on it, and also I think the actual spinny mechanism is a little bit more efficient, so there was also that. Don't think my toe's getting suffocated, so I'll put my sock back on and then put my foot in the shoe. But yeah, the shoulder was my focus, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just keep a mental eye on that. And I think that I didn't put enough thought into stabilizing my core, letting myself swing too much, and then that sort of threw me off because I didn't feel secure to go for the next bar, and then I was hanging for too long and still swinging, and I was like, okay, am I just going to do it? I was like, no, because I hurt my thumb at work yesterday, and so if I bang my thumb on it, that's going to be bad and delay it, and it's recovering reasonably well. The mobility didn't suffer, but it did hurt a lot. Now, if I clench a fist, there's some pain, but if I just make a fist, there is none. So, lots of improvement. Hang on, sorry. Small car, reasonable human. There we go. So, put my shoe back on again. There we are. But yeah, so that's that. I have still not remembered that other thing that I wanted to talk about names or whatever. Titles, maybe. It's something that did come back to me and then I forgot again. And the fact I remembered sucks. Because if I remembered, surely I should be able to remember what I remembered, but I don't. Regardless, the other point of this vlog is a sort of non-data driven, or I guess maybe emotive would be a better term, review of last month, because it is now November. Remember the 5th of November. I won't likely be vlogging because I'll be at a bonfire. Whoop whoop. But yeah, so October is a month which I lived through. And I just thought I'd do a quick sort of review type video of how it went, because this is now a fitnessy channel, hence why I was talking about my toe and my attempted monkey bars and my kicks for quads, etc. And so from a health and well-being as well as strength and fitness, etc. perspective, how was October? Well, my nutrition was down, largely I think due to the extra stress with work change, because that was, I think, the end of September, so it's been a month. The additional burden of movement, so I went to see friends, etc. That travel requires recovery. Like, my schedule's been all messed up, effectively. So I've been like more on the quick and dirty type foods. I do have those other foods prepared, like ready to go in the freezer, batch cooked soup, batch cooked bean machine. If you don't know what bean machine is, you've obviously not been on the channel very long, feel free to ask. But because I'm nocturnal, when it gets to late at night, I don't want to use the microwave. I'll wake up my flatmate, it might disturb the neighbours, and so on. And those sorts of things you can't really just like ding in the oven. You could, but it would melt my Tupperware, or, you know, probably the like little rubber seal in my metal Tupperware at the very least, which wouldn't be a good time, would be a bad idea. Put the soup in there in a baking tray thing, it's going to evaporate. Put the bean machine in there, it's probably going to also evaporate, burn, etc. So I don't really have a quiet way to heat it up. So usually that'll mean grabbing something from the oven that I can oven cook. Usually that's relatively healthy, though I did have like a few ready meal type stuff that I got for free, that I put in there that I've used up now. I think I've ran out of those, though I've not fully emptied the freezer, so it might be hiding behind something. Or it might just be like meat, like just beef or just chicken, which isn't exactly a balanced diet. Protein, yay, etc., but you don't get all of those micronutrients and stuff. And I have had 2 takeaways, I think, in last month. Thankfully, when I did go away, saw friends, the food there was largely of good quality and of a reasonable quantity. Not too much, not too little, that sort of thing. But alcohol was consumed, which is something that doesn't really happen very often when I'm home. Every so often I might want a beer, but last time I wanted a beer, which I think was in September, I bought one, but it was buy one, get one free. So I got a second one, and that's just lived in the flat since. I've not drank it. I forgot it was there until I was talking to someone about alcohol earlier. And I was like, oh yeah, I have a beer. So that's a reasonable change, and whilst I wasn't like hungover, there are definitely side effects, and it's got to work its way through your system. So that happened. So nutrition was down. Okay. Overall exercise levels, compared to September, I think were up. Compared to August, I think that's the one before September, down. I've not been to the gym. I think I might have gone once, maybe twice last month total. Haven't been yet this month, and if I did go last month, it was towards the beginning. Again, due to those work changes for the most part. I've debated going to the gym this evening, but I think if I were to go to the gym tonight, which I still might, I would probably just do like cable rows, that sort of thing. And I think that I'm going to get more value by going for a walk, practicing weird mobility stuff like those like kicks for quads, as I'm calling them for now, a bit more rope flow, that sort of thing, in order to increase my mobility, as that's something I have noticed. Particularly this last week, I think that I've seen these benefits paying off a little bit more, because I have been doing training, had some kung fu, some just general physical preparedness type stuff as well. And as I've been doing these things, and especially today, because I had someone that I've not seen in like 3 years visit, we talked, they said they started going to the gym, asked me some questions because I offered to help. And all of that advice was not as a professional, but as a friend, though I am certified as a professional. I'm not scrubbed up to it right now, as it were. But yeah, so they wanted me to like show them a few of the bodyweight exercises and stuff, and my movement around on the floor felt a lot more fluid, and my mobility, like my ancestral squat position, was way easier than it has been when I've sort of used it for prolonged periods of time recently. Before, I was able to like hold a plank, not a planche, that would have been very impressive, a plank, just regular plank, not too difficult whilst talking to them. And, prolonged time would be an issue, but I was talking to them for, 5, 10, 15 seconds whilst holding a plank, and I didn't notice any issues with form, and my breathing was relatively clear still. Like my heart rate wasn't spiking, etc. So that, very good. So overall mobility, I think, is improved. I think I mentioned in one of my previous 2 vlogs that this last week at Kung Fu, on the last Wednesday of last month, I ended up doing effectively wide squats, not sumo squats, feet still pointed forwards, but rather than being double shoulder width, they were kind of shoulder width and a half, but we called it double shoulder width. So rather than single, 1.5, but we called it double. Because that's what the instructor told me to do. And I did it, and it was the flowers bring Sally up song challenge thing. Stand up when they say up, go down as close to parallel to the ground as you can on down, and then when they do like their other bit, the old mooses had a farm or whatever, pulse, so go slightly up, slightly down. Not all the way up, not all the way, not terribly far down, but just like bob up and down, right? Yeah, it was really hard. I could feel it in my adductors the next day that I trained them more than usual at Kung Fu. I think that has in general helped. I think it might also have helped my external rotation, my internal rotation, potentially in terms of anti-rotation and stability, because it's a position that I'm not in super often, and holding that deeper squat with that wider stance, feet still forward, so knees weren't out, I think might also have just helped because of time in that position. It's very uncomfortable for me still, but I think that if I try to implement that more regularly, like they're still not fully better, and it's almost Tuesday, so it's been 5 days, nearly 6 days. But I think it is going to be good. So overall, nutrition was not great. It went downhill. If we're giving it a 10, with 10 being literally couldn't get any better, 9 being this is the best that I can accomplish, and 8 being this is the best I can reasonably accomplish, with 0 being I have died because I haven't eaten or I have eaten poison, etc. 1 being I have not died but I'm comatose, 2 being I'm deathly ill. I would say I was probably at about a 6, whereas I'm usually about a 7. So it's not terrible, but not great. I want to be 7 to 8 consistent. Having the odd day or two where I'm, closer to a 5 or a 6, that's okay. But I want to at least be averaging a 7, verging on 8, The word reasonable is subjective in that context. And then exercise has gone back up slightly, but not a lot. So if we put it at pre-COVID, not pre-COVID, pre-chronic fatigue, or during COVID, I guess, being a 10, that was like effectively multiple hours of training most days, be it running, push-ups, sit-up squats, other bodyweight stuff, sparring, basic free weights, just using dumbbells and a barbell, and I think one very light, like 6 kilo kettlebell maybe, and ankle wrist weights, weighted vest, that sort of thing, all sorts of stuff. The overall time was like an hour or 2 a day on average. Didn't track on my watch, so my heart rate wasn't necessarily going up, so it could have been very light exercise, or maybe not light, well, low intensity, high volume. So it could have been like, I'm going to do 100 push-ups, no matter how long it takes. If it's do 1 push-up a minute for 100 minutes, that would be how I did it, because during COVID I did that at one point. It wasn't 1 push-up a minute, but it was, I'm going to do 100 push-ups, and unless I need the loo, I'm not leaving this room until they're done, and if I do need the loo, I go, I come back. That's it. It's like, no food, no, I could refill my water, I think, but that was about it. And so, if that's a 10, right, that's not obviously optimal, perfect, peak human possibility, but that's like the best I've had in my life. And then 0 is I've died. And 1 being like I have done nothing outside of what is required for me to stay alive. And then 2 just being incredibly sedentary, no actual training, but some exercise. I would say that I've probably been at about a 6, again maybe a 7. And I want to be constantly at a 7 again. You know, I'm not at a point yet that I could be an 8, 9, 10, not consistently anyway, with the whole fatigue thing. You know, I need to be hitting like 90% of where I was before I get to 80% of the training, and then get to 95% or more before I get to 90% of the training. Because when I hit that energy require level, that non-fatiguedness, that'll allow me to train to a slightly higher intensity of where I was, but not up to that same percentage, because I then need to build my body into doing that again, and with that energy level. And then once I get used to that and my energy level increases more, I can then gradually increase the training more. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back into ballistic training eventually, as I was saying to my friend earlier, but I gotta wait. It's just not viable for me whilst I'm still heavily fatigued. I'm far less than I was. I think I'm about 70% of the way better on average. Still bad days, sometimes slightly better days, but on an average or two, depending on which averages you want to use, I'd say about 65, 70%, which I'm very happy with. Yeah, last month still, that's nutrition, exercise, and then that leaves the mobility stuff. Last month I didn't see the improvements. This month I'm seeing the improvements. So I would say last month I must have been doing good improvements, and this month they're paying off. So I need to keep those up. That largely, I think, is, as I said, that thing at Kung Fu with the wider squats challenge thingo, but also the rope flow work and my taping of my toes. I've only recently started taping the one that I taped at the start of this video, but it's been, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks maybe of taping the one on the other foot, and that is really helping, I think, my overall structure. And if you have the right structure, then improving mobility is going to be a lot easier, right? Structure, posture, progression. That feels like it makes sense, but I don't know if it does. Yeah. Other parts of sort of health, well-being, fitness, mental health, okay, it's fine, you know, not good, not bad. My aches and pains, the shoulder, it has undergone one serious improvement yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday before work, I tried to do a neck bridge, and it was an assisted neck bridge, so I had my hands supporting me heavily whilst I got into this position, and slowly increased the amount of weight that was going through my neck. And I felt something sort of slip, snap, pop, sort of in my neck, shoulder area. And that hurt, but like the rest of the neck pain that I've had and shoulder pain, it's almost completely gone. And that pain has gone as well now. You know, it hurt whilst I was at work, but now I'm good. There is some stuff up here as opposed to back here now, sort of at the shoulder joint itself. But I think that is completely unrelated and most likely just some form of DOMS type stuff from the various training that I do. Now that I think that it's not like adapting the same way, because I did do some kettlebell type rope flow. So I had 2 kettlebells mimicking the movements of rope flow, which really hit the shoulders. And this one, I think, might have been adapting to spread pressure, and now it's actually hitting where it would otherwise have hit. So there's that. Have I tied the shoe up? I have. I'm sure there are other points, but yeah, quick roundup then before I get going back on a walk. And as I said before, this vlog will be uploaded later because I don't have Wi-Fi and I only upload on Wi-Fi. So until I get back to the flat, as I'm not there right now, I'm in the car, obviously, I won't be uploading it. It's simple. Injury roundup, yes. 2 toes. Right pinky toe is the one that I taped at the start of this video. I looking at it, comparing it to the look and feel of my other foot, both proprioceptively and kinesthetically, touching, kinesthetics movement, I guess that as well. It looks different to the left pinky toe. It feels different, and it moves different. It also is like slightly twisted, and it's rounder on the top. So I'm trying to get that also slightly straighter to average out, and I'm not taping it as often because I didn't think that it was like as necessary. It wasn't as bad. It's not as pronounced, I should say, as the other toe. However, whilst I was walking today, because I'm wearing my Vivos, which are my most barefoot of barefoot shoes in terms of wide toe box, I noticed with that space, it spreads out more and rounds more. So that is an issue because that means that's something that would happen if I were actually barefoot. Unless it might be rubbing on the shoe that's causing it, but it's not a risk I want to take, so I'm going to try to go from daily taping one toe to daily taping both, making sure to get lots of toe strengthening, foot strengthening exercises like short foot, elevated toe calf raises, that sort of thing, done with the tape on. I'll be doing some tonight, and then move on from there, because I do think it looks like it is helping quite substantially with the index toe of my left foot. I think it's called the second toe because I think the first toe is the big toe and the fifth toe is the little toe. I think I'm no orthopedist, but yeah, that toe seems to have been making some good progress. So if I can mirror that progress with the pinky toe or the fifth toe on my right foot, ding, the progress with my index or second toe on my left foot has enabled me to continue rehabbing my knee. As the toe's improving, the knee is now improving. It started to get worse again, and now I think it's starting to get better again because it's getting used to being in that other position. Ding! That's good. The plantar fasciitis type symptoms on my right foot, they are still there, but they are still mild, so they haven't regressed. They aren't seeming to improve any further right now. They seem to have plateaued. But I think that as I continue doing these foot strengthening exercises, fixing up that little toe, etc., that will slowly continue to fade away or start again to fade further away. So there's that one. Moving up, hips, no actual injuries. There's just that terrible mobility, but that's improving. Another ding. Don't know why I'm using ding as my that's good sound effect, but sure, why not? Moving up further, again, lower back, poor mobility-ish, better than some. No injuries that I'm aware of. Ding! Don't need to rehab anything. Middle back, same thing. Upper back, still a little stiff. The thoracic spine could use some work. And sort of I can feel like neck stiffness in and around the traps. Looking either side, etc. I need to work on my overall rotational stuff. And then arms. This shoulder still has an issue, but it's migrated to here, as I said before. This elbow still hasn't fully recovered, but has almost fully recovered, so I'm just going to have to continue to be careful and not go through too hard on it. I did mention in a previous vlog about doing overcoming isometrics. I didn't do those in the end, I didn't have the time, but maybe I will do some tonight. This hand is all good as far as I'm aware. This thumb currently hurts because of the accident at work yesterday. I say accident at work. I was an idiot. Whatever, it happens. It's a funny story. I'll tell you some other time perhaps. But that is just like a light sprain, I'm guessing. I don't actually know the definition of a sprain, but that's what I'd call it. This finger that I broke previously still hurts during certain strikes, but I'm working on it. And yeah, I think that's all my sort of injury things. So, that rounds out this video at just short of half an hour. God damn, that took long. But whatever. I've got my water. I've taped my toe. I'm ready to keep walking. So I'll catch you cats on the flip-flop. Goodbye.